So for context, I was the only white person. Everyone else was like Punjabi or Pakistani. I'm also 19 and female. I'm completely self-reliant, and I'm putting myself through university and college and don't get any help from my family. Also, for the record, ATO is the Australian Taxation Office. So I worked for a local pizza place for 10 months before the owners sold the business and changed ownership. It was a small place and you only needed like 4 staff for a busy night, and I was the pizza chef. During the transition phase, I trained the new owners on everything. Making and packing pizza, using the order system, all the health and safety rules, customer service skills, etc. During this time, we got along really well. Even on some late nights, they'd drop me home if it was raining, and we'd talk about family, friends, hobbies, etc. Unfortunately, on the first week they took over, I got sick from tonsillitis and couldn't work. But when I came back, their attitude towards me had changed completely. They were rude, gave me less shifts, and dismissed me completely when I tried to help. And they refused to give me more responsibilities. When beforehand they told me that when they took over, I'd be learning how to make pastas and not just pizzas. They were also not listening to me when I told them they weren't following the occupational health and safety rules, working without hairnets or not washing hands, etc. During this time, I saw one of my co-workers without a hairnet on. She has butt-length hair and it was down in a braid. I told her in front of the owner that she needed to wear a hairnet, and it's in breach of the OSH rules, and that if someone gets a hair in their food or gets sick, then the company would be liable and we could get into trouble. She told me no, and the owner agreed with her. 10 minutes later, I found a hairball of her hair sitting right where I make pizza. I grabbed it and took it to her and told her where I found it, and that she has to put a hairnet on. She put a hairnet on top of her head, but left her braid out. So the next week I was talking to one of my co-workers and he wanted the next day off, I wanted to work, and so we asked if we could switch. It would have been a Tuesday, normally the slowest day of the week, and that would have been a good opportunity for me to get training in making pastas while my co-worker could relax. A month or so later, I had a 2-week holiday to the US that they knew about in advance and approved of. And when I came back, I asked about my shift and they told me, and they don't need me anymore. When I asked why, they couldn't give me a proper reason. Some reasons they gave me were that I was rude, or I was racist to co-workers, that I refused to work in the kitchen, I messed up paperwork, and they were overstaffed. All of this is false. I'm literally a chef, and I texted my now ex-co-workers asking if they thought I was rude or if they thought I was racist to them. They all said no. Not only that, the only paperwork I did was my employee form, which I didn't mess up. They then hung up on me and sent me abusive texts saying that I'm racist to my co-workers. Again, I asked them, they said no. And when I responded, they told me that they would get a lawyer involved if I contacted them again. Just to reiterate, under the old ownership, who I worked for 9-10 months, there were never any problems between myself, the owner, or any of my co-workers. Anyway, so here is where my petty revenge comes in. While I worked there, I saw a lot of them doing cash-in-hand payments to staff along with some other sketchy stuff with money. It's been 3 months and I don't have my super or my retirement fund payment. So I called the ATO, the Australian Tax Office, and told them about everything. About all the cash-in-hand payments, about the absence of my super payment, not paying staff fairly, etc. The person on the phone told me my information was more than enough and that they would be starting an investigation which will most likely turn into the owners getting audited. So go on, go ahead, fire me for no reason. I'll report you. By the way, I now have an amazing job and absolutely love my co-workers. I've been there for a while now and I've never had any complaints. And this place is also pretty diversive.